As Walmart marks its entry to Shanghai, a recent report by Merrill Lynch finds nearly all foreign retailers in China are losing money. This week I talked to the managing partner of Deloitte Consulting China. He explained why many foreign retail giants are failing in the Chinese market and how they can get themselves out of the red. Everybody's saying China's economy is booming and consumption is surging, but why do you think foreign retailers can lose money in such a market?
Yes, we have to try to go back to the last 10 or 13 years when we start to open up the retail market in 1992. Of course, at that time, most of the retailers are more from Singapore, Hong Kong, or Taiwan, and they'll try on different type of sort of retail formats. But most of them are small department stores, convenience stores on the testing water. And not until recently that the big sort of hypermarkets retailers come to China, they become more seriously. But when we look at the investment, normally you cannot expect the investment to be profitable in 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years' time. Especially in China, we always say that you need to be long term. So there I guess that the losing money is mainly due to a few factors. First is a learning experience, because everyone needs to learn about the local market. So you may not match the right the products against the right consumer's taste or preference. Secondly, is because of the heavy cost from the headquarters, such as getting the expatriates here, such as building the infrastructure cost. Okay. And third one is on the sourcing side. Of course, a lot of these large retailers, they have this sourcing center in China, but in China, there's a difference from that part of the world. And so what we see that they also have to build different sourcing strategies. And this takes some time, and this is also very costly.
Could you elaborate on this point? How is sourcing different in China than, say, in Europe or in the U.S.?
All right. Now, you can imagine like Walmart or Carrefour in Europe or in the U.S., the customer preference has been really under studies for the last 40 years. They really understand about their preference very clearly. And very often you can see the Americans have a similar preference across different states. But where in China, our economy development is quite different from coastal cities to the inner province. That means the taste, the preference is also very different. So that means what? When you want to sell some products in southern provinces like Shenzhen, may not be the right products you sell in Shanghai or in Beijing. This is something which is very different that from other parts of the world, which one country, most of the preference are quite similar. But in China, that's very, very different. And that's why you can see quite a number of the retailers, they have different sourcing center in China. That means they're not unified, a centralized sourcing center in China.
Because the customer taste or their preferences are different across the regions.
Yes. And also another one is purchasing power. And coastal cities like Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Beijing, the income is higher. The income disparity in China is quite big. So you go to the Wuhan, you go to Sichuan, it's all different. Right. So the purchasing power is different, of course. When they want to buy the different products, they also have a constraint. Not just because they don't like or like, also because of the income constraint.
Right. So you're saying sourcing is obviously more complex in a country like China, right?
That is one of the factors. And also in China right now, we see that overproduction or overcapacity in production. So that's why the supply is larger than demand. And at the same time, of course, it's good for the retailers because they have a good bargaining power. But at the same time, because there's too many choices, that how to get the right choice to the consumers, and also even the consumers do not know to get the right choice. So at the beginning, they may have so many different products in one category, different brands, and they may take some time for the consumers to finally decide what are the most popular brand they want.
So if you can have some suggestions or recommendations to these new foreign retailers who want to enter the China market, because it's obviously no one can miss it, what would you suggest?
First is location. Because of the day, they also look for the right location. But the location doesn't mean that you have to go to the new one. You have to go to those which we believe that other retailers are doing bad. You can see some of the developed, not highly developed places that there's still only one supply. It's like even Gubei. Okay, only one hypermarket there. Right. There's no other choices. But basically, there's a growing market there. If you have another one, very similar one, I believe there's a potential. So the location is very important. I would say start right. And second, of course, people is very important, the management side. The art of retailing, serving the consumers, sometimes very difficult to learn for that. And I believe also the price is very important. Because Chinese, especially on this type of retail formats, the sensitivity, the price sensitivity is very, very important. And lastly, I would say the trust. Okay, need to be created. That means you need to make sure that the consumer that believe that you are the low price, also you have the good service, and the trust need to be there.
Norman Shi has 20 years of consulting experience in corporate structure design, business process re-engineering, and performance management.